Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Alyssa and today's video is all about baby names that I love but will not be using. I feel like when you're naming your babies, your names just have to kind of flow together. So some of these names I just feel like maybe don't flow with the name Aria because my name's Alyssa, my husband's name is Vinnie, and we have a daughter named Aria Rose. So some of the names that I really like, especially for like another girl in the future, I feel like some of these names just don't flow with Aria, but at the same time, I still love them. But I'm going to be sharing 10 girl names that I adore and 10 boy names that I also adore. So starting right off with the first name that I absolutely love is Penelope. I think that this name is such a classy, beautiful name. There's just something about this name that I just feel like there's this like spunky little girl, and Aria is a spunky little girl. So Penelope is probably one of my favorite names on this list, and it is probably one of the main names that I would definitely try to convince Vinnie to use in the future, because I do think that the name Penelope and Aria sound like a fun little group of sisters, and I just love that name. So the next name is Luciana, and Luciana is actually a name that I planned on using for Aria. So before I even knew if Aria was a boy or a girl, I had a name picked out for a girl and a name picked out for a boy, and the name that I picked out for a girl was Luciana. So I couldn't convince Vinnie to really like the name. He wasn't totally against it, but I feel like he was very iffy about it, and he wouldn't ever say yes to the name. So that's why we had to keep continuing to look for different names, because every time I would say Luciana, he was just like, I'm just not feeling it. But I love that name. The next name is Skyla. So I love the name Skyla. I think that it just sounds like so clean and classy and like almost like a little bit ritzy. Like, I love the name Skyla. I think it is beautiful. I think it is super unique. And I actually never heard this name before ever until I was scrolling Pinterest, and I just found a random little girl's nursery, and they had like one of those beautiful like wooden rustic boards above the crib, and it said like Skyla. I can't remember what the middle name was on the board, but I know that the middle name with the first name Skyla just sounded so classy, and I was like, ooh, I love that name. But it was just so different that I thought that it was going to like slowly become popular, and so I tried to shy away from it, but then that happened with the name Aria anyways. But I do still love the name Skyla, and I really would love a daughter named Skyla, but I just don't think that Skyla and Aria flow together, so I probably won't be using this in the future at all. So the next name is a name that I was dead set on Aria's sister's name being this, and the name is Adeline. So I love the name Adeline. I love the name Madeline also. So when I heard of Adeline, I thought that was super cute because they both start with A's, Aria and Adeline. They just sound like sisters to me, but at the same time, I've kind of liked this name for probably over 2 years now, because ever since Aria was born, I used to always think about what I would name her sister in the future. So the name Adeline and Aria always flowed well together. But now that it's been like 2.5 years of me liking the name Adeline, and obviously I don't have a baby girl named Adeline, so now the name's kind of growing off of me. So I don't think that I'm going to use this name in the future, but I wouldn't be surprised if I came back to liking it if I were to ever find out I was pregnant with another little girl. Sorry, Aria is playing in the background being super loud, so I hope that you guys can hear me. But these next 5 names are names that I know that Vinnie would never agree to. First one is Piper. I love this name. I think that it is so different. Even though it's kind of becoming popular, I still think that no matter what, I feel like if I knew 5 people named Piper, they would all just be so completely different. I don't know why. I just think it is such a strong name, and I think it just would go with some little girl that has like such a strong personality. And Aria has a strong personality, so I'm sure my next daughter would have a strong personality. So the name Piper is absolutely perfect, but I know Vinnie would never, ever agree to that name. The next name is Everly. So this name became really popular, I want to say in the last like 3 years. Absolutely adorable regardless, but because of its popularity at this point, it's completely scratched off my list. I got the name Lila from a Netflix show Friday Night Lights, I believe I loved that show. And so I loved Lila Garrity, and I love the name Lila. I think it is just such a pretty, another classy, simple name. I love 4-letter simple names. So Aria's name has an I in it, so if I were to use the name Lila, I would definitely go with the I spelling version of it. The next name is very simple to Lila, and it's the name Layla. And I love this name. So I have seen a couple different ways to spell the name Layla, but I would spell it the way that I had it, Layla. I think that is just such a simple, beautiful way to spell it. And I just love the way that it sounds, like Layla. My last two final names are, besides Penelope, these are like my top favorite names ever to exist. Like, I love these names. So the first one is Ronnie. So I got this name, and yes, Ronnie for a girl. So I got the idea of using Ronnie for a girl from the movie The Last Song. Sometimes there's just such a strong character in a movie or a TV show, and you just fall in love with them, and it just makes you love their name, I feel like. So I loved Ronnie in The Last Song. It was the first time I ever heard a girl being called Ronnie. I've always heard it for being a boy name. So once I found out that the name Ronnie was like gender neutral, I just love it for a girl though. But I think Ronnie for a girl is just so different and so spunky that, I don't know, I just love that name and the idea of that name for a girl. So the same way that I never heard Ronnie being used for a girl is the same way that I never heard the name Spencer being used for a girl, but I did, and then I fell in love with it. So my 10th name and my favorite name is Spencer. I feel like if I had a baby like right this minute and I had another little girl and I had to name her right now, I would pick the name Spencer. People would probably think I'm absolutely insane because I would have Aria and Spencer from Pretty Little Liars, but it just flows. I feel like they sound like best friends. I feel like they just sound so good together, and I just love it. I think that it's super unique, and I just love that name, like Spencer. It's so stinking cute. So moving on to boy names, Vinnie is dead set on the boy name that he wants for his son, so I'm not going to say it, but these are 10 other names that I would choose if I could. So just like the girl named Luciana, the very first boy name that I fell in love with was Luciano. So when I first picked the name Luciana, I was like Team Luciana or Team Luciano, depending on the gender. But Vinnie didn't like either of the names, so he's just not into those like long flowy names like that. But I thought it was super cool. I think that it's very unique. You could also use the name Luca, that's super popular, as a nickname for the name Luciano. So that was one of my favorite names. My next favorite name was Antonio. I just love names that end in O. It's like Lorenzo, I think, is super cute and adorable. That wasn't even on my list, so I guess now you have 21 names that I like, because Lorenzo is another one, but the same way that I love that ending in O is why I loved Antonio. I just think that it's super adorable. Though I don't know why when I think of baby names, like I have to like envision the child themselves and be like, okay, are they wild like me, and are they gonna have a strong personality like me, or are they gonna be like quiet and shy? Because if any names give me off like a little quiet, shy little kid, I'm like, I'm not feeling it, because I am not quiet and I am not shy, and neither is Vinnie. So I just feel like we will never have a quiet, shy kid, so I can't go with like that type of name. The next name is Bentley. And which is funny is because I love this name, but when I picture a little boy named Bentley, I feel like I just picture the super soft spoken, quiet little boy, and I'm like, that's just not me. So the next name is Lincoln. So I love this name. I think that it's super adorable. I did mention this name to Vinnie in the past before we knew if Aria was a girl, and I mentioned the name Luciano and I mentioned the name Lincoln and he hated that. So I love it. So if your son's name is Lincoln, I think that it is so freaking cute, and I just picture this adorable little boy named Lincoln. The next name is Grayson. So I'm not a big nickname person. I really like names that I feel like I want to call you that name every time I'm speaking to you. I love the name, but it's actually the only name that I love the nickname Gray. random, but I do. The next name is a name that I recently started liking, but also very quickly stopped liking because Vinnie shot it down real quick. When I mentioned if we ever had a little boy, I would want to name him Asher. Vinnie was not cool with it. He doesn't like the name very much, and it's not that he doesn't like the name and just doesn't feel like it would be a good fit for our family, or maybe he just doesn't feel like it would flow with the last name or with Aria, but I do like the name Asher a lot. I think that is super cute. I actually think a nickname Ash is super like cool, but we're not going to be using it. We have 4 names left, and the next 2 start with M's. I don't know why, but I love the letter M for a boy. And the first one is Mason. So I loved this name ever since Mason Disick was born, and I was like a kid myself. I totally love that name. And it's super simple. It's nothing crazy, but it just doesn't flow with our last name, and it doesn't flow with Aria. If you ask me, like Mason and Aria, I don't know. They just don't flow right. So the next name that I absolutely adore, but I don't think that I could ever get Vinnie to agree on this name, but I've never brought it up to him, so maybe this will be a future baby name, but probably not because I know Vinnie very well, and I know that the first thing he's gonna say is no. But anyway, the name is Miles. I love this name. I just think that it is so adorable. So the next name is Crew. I love this name, but it just became way too popular in 2020 between like celebrities, even like influencers and bloggers and stuff. Like I feel like everyone's naming their kid Crew, which is totally fine because it's an absolutely adorable name, but it kind of like killed the vibe for me. But I do like that you could spell Crew with a C, or you can spell it with a K. Same way that if I was handed a little baby right freaking now, I would name her, I almost said Aria. I would name her Spencer. The same way if I was given a little boy right now and I had no choice but to name him in the next 5 minutes. Come here. I would name him Finn. I think that the name Finn is so cute. Oh, yeah. Recording videos when Aria is awake is like super difficult. Last name on my list that I adore is the name Finn. So again, my husband's name is Vinnie, and a lot of people call him Vin. I call him Vin. So the only thing throwing me off is that Vin and Finn are so close together. But at the same time, I'm like, wait, is that cute? Actually, I'm not really sure. 4 letters, has an I in it, so I feel like it does flow with the name Aria. So I don't know, and I feel like it does go with our family name because he's Vinnie, and we would have Vin and Finn and Alyssa and Aria. So I don't know, I just think that it's super cute. I feel like we would flow together as a little family. But I love that name, but I don't know if Vinnie would be down with it. I actually never told him that I love that name for my own son. We do know a little boy named Finn, but I don't think I've ever told Vinnie that I love that name for my own child. So I don't really know what he would say, but maybe he would like it. So those are my 20, actually 21 because I told you about Lorenzo. So those are 21 names that I absolutely love, but I'm almost positive I won't be using any of those names. Most of them I know for a fact I will not be, like I mentioned, but there was Spencer and Finn that I think that are super cute and that I may use in the future. Who knows what the future holds? So I don't know. I feel like if I were to get pregnant again, I would be back on Pinterest and back watching all these movies to try to find more names. So I'll probably find totally different names that I fall in love with if I am to get pregnant again, especially once I find out the gender. I feel like I go crazy with looking for names, so who really knows? But I do love those names. I hope that if you are looking for any baby names to use, that you choose one of those names because I think they are awesome names. And I definitely turned to some YouTube videos when I was naming Aria to look for more names, so I enjoy these videos so much, so I was so excited to make this video of all the names that I personally loved and fell in love with and still love. So I think these are super popular for 2020, for 2021, and moving forward. So if you liked any of the names, feel free to use them because they are so freaking adorable. And thank you guys so much for watching my video today. See you guys in my next video.